Hey guys, thanks for joining me for Learn to Play Games. My name is Lance, and today we're going to take a look at Wacky Races. This is a brand new game by CMON Games. It is a 2 to 6 player game that takes roughly 20 to 40 minutes to play. It is a competitive game, obviously, where each player is working against the other players to be the first to cross the finish line and be the overall winner at the end of the game. So in the game itself, each player is going to be playing one of the iconic old cartoon characters from Wacky Races, trying to play their different special abilities and playing their different cards from their hand to be the first to cross that finish line at the end of the game. Now this wouldn't be Wacky Races without Dick Dastardly trying to mess you up, and that's what he's going to do in this game. He's going to be working independently of the players, trying to move ahead and set those traps and mess up the players as they cross those points and set those traps off. So again, the player that is able to do this the most effectively will be the one to win in the race. And if you don't have enough players to play 6, you'll also have some non-player characters in there that are going to be controlled by a set of rules, and so they will be competing against the players as well, and they can win the race as well. So you want to watch out for them and not just focus on the other players. But if you're playing with fewer than 6, then you'll have them to contend with as well. So my opinions on this one, if you're into racing games, I would definitely recommend this one. This is a great little family game. The miniatures, you can buy the deluxe version where they come painted. If you get the regular version, they're not painted, but they still look really cool. And of course, it's a CMON game, so the detail of the minis is really, really cool. And you can definitely tell the iconic characters from the old cartoon series in this. And each one of them has their own style, race car, and everything else, of course. And like I said, just really cool miniatures with this one. So if you're also a painter and you're looking to paint, this is definitely one that would be fun to do that with as well. And the game itself is very easy. The rules are very quick to pick up on, as you guys are going to see in the video. I think this would be a great game for families and light to medium gaming groups. This is a great little filler game to move into and play different things before moving on to some heavier games as well. Or if you just enjoy racing games, I think this one is a really good, fun little one to throw down some from time to time and play. So of course, these are just my opinions. I'd love to hear from you guys as well. Let me know in the comments below if this is one that you're looking to pick up or have picked up and what you think of this one. And if you enjoy these videos, if you like what I do, please consider that like button, subscribing to my channels. It really does help me to continue to grow and be able to bring these games to you guys. And if you want to stay up to date on all my videos, also considering that bell so you get notifications anytime I release new stuff. So let's head to the table and I'll teach you guys how to play. There are 2 different sets of cards the players will be using throughout the game. The first set are the movement cards, which are comprised of 4 different types of cards. We have the desert, forest, prairie, and farm cards, and these will be how the players will move throughout the game, and I'll cover this more during the movement. Then we have the trap cards, which each of these cards is going to have a name and an effect that the player must resolve when that trap is revealed. And some of the cards will also have a little icon on the top here, which means that a neutral racer that triggers this will not resolve any of the effects of that card. During setup, the players will create the racetrack using the terrain tiles, which are broken into 2 different groups. We have the blue-backed tiles, which are going to be comprised of the first half of the racetrack, and these will have a breakdown of the 4 different types of terrain, which are desert, prairie, farm, and forest. And then you'll also have the gas station in there, and I'll explain how to set that up. Then the second half of the track will be made up of the orange-back cards, which again will have the 4 different types, and will also include one of these special cards, which during setup the players will shuffle these up and randomly draw one to include in the second half of the tiles, and I'll show you how to do that. For player setup, each player is going to choose a racer that they want to play as, and then they'll get their dashboard and their 4 specialty cards, which they can place out on the corresponding spots on their dashboard. And then finally they can collect the miniature of the racer along with it. To create the racetrack, you're going to place the starting tile out first, and then you're going to go ahead and grab the blue-backed train tiles, shuffle them up, and you're going to place them out either in a straight line extending from the start location, or you can weave them around depending upon your table size and that. So I'm going to go ahead and weave mine around, and then once you're done with that, then you can place out the gas station tile at the end of this starting location. From there, then you're going to grab the orange-backed tiles. These will be the second half of the racetrack. Go ahead and separate the 4 special tiles, shuffle them up, and then you're going to choose one of them randomly to include. Do not peek at that, and then go ahead and mix that up with the rest of your tiles here. And then again, place those out in a line, and then finally place out the finish line. From there, go ahead and shuffle up the 64 card movement deck and place that out somewhere on the board. as well as the traps deck. Shuffle that up as well and place that out. From there, then you can go ahead and have each player select their racers. So for my game here, I'm going to set up 3 racers. From there, then go ahead and place the Dick Dastardly miniature out on the very back of the board on the 00 spot. That'll be his starting location. Then choose one of the players to be the starting player. So we'll go ahead and have Penelope Pitstop be our starting player, so she'll receive the Neutral Racers activation card. And then we can place those racers out. Starting with the first player, she'll place it in the very back of the racetrack on the checkered sign. From there, then each other player in clockwise order will place their racer out in the next spot along the racetrack. Finally, any spots that are not taken by players will be added by neutral racers for the game, so that you'll always have 6 racers in the game. And you can just choose these randomly however you want, and each one of them will be placed out on one of those locations as well. Finally, then each player is going to be dealt 3 movement cards, and then we're ready to start the race. Wacky Racers is played over an undefined number of rounds, and during each round, each player, starting with the first player and moving in a clockwise order, will get to take their turn. And after each player's turn, Dick Dastardly will take his turn and be able to move independently. From there, then the neutral players will activate, and the player that has the first player marker will be the one that'll activate those and resolve their actions. This will continue until one of the players has passed the finish line, and then the game will be over and that racer will have won the race. Moving into the game, starting with our first racer and moving around the board in a clockwise manner, each player will get to take a turn. During each player's turn, they're going to get to play their movement cards to move farther along the track. So with Penelope Pitstop here, let's go ahead and take a look at her turn. So first off, let's look at her cards that she has. And again, you're going to keep these hidden from other players, but I'm going to go ahead and show these to you guys to show you how this works. So at the beginning of her turn, she's going to choose one of these cards that she would like to play. And it doesn't matter which one, she will be able to play it and move ahead 1 space on the track. So let's go ahead and play one of the farm cards, and we'll play that to the discard pile. From there, then we're going to move her race car forward 1 space. And the one other thing I want to point out is that these first 2 spaces are considered wild, so it does not matter on any card that you play, you'll get to move 1 space for those spaces. So now that she's in this location here, she can play one of her other cards, and normally that has to match the location that your racer is currently on. So for example, if she was here, she would have to play a purple farm card in order to move ahead the next space. But with her being in this location here, this is a wild space, so any card she plays will allow her to move. So she's going to go ahead and play this forest card here, and that will let her move forward 1 space. And it doesn't matter on what side of the track she's on, as each location can only have 2 racers on it. From there, then she can play the last card if it matches the location that she's on again. So she would need to play a purple farm card, and she does have one, so she's going to go ahead and play that, and then that'll let her move ahead 1 space again. Now, the one other thing that we need to cover is, let's go ahead and say, for example, that a location has 2 racers on it already, such as this. At that point, when she would move ahead, she cannot take up a spot as there's only 2 locations, so she would move ahead into the next location that has an open spot. So this could move her ahead 1 or multiple spaces, depending upon how many racers are there. So she would finish her turn by moving here. Now, if she did not have a purple farm card to play, she would have to end her turn there. From there, then she's going to collect a number of cards based back up to her hand size of 3 cards. So she would draw 3 since she played 3 this turn. Finally, then at the end of the player's turn, then we'll take a turn for Dick Dastardly. So he's going to look at the top card of the discard pile and move to that location. So in this situation, he'll move to this purple farm location. Now, if Dick Dastardly moves ahead of the first racer, then he will place a trap card on that location, and then he'll move back to the furthest spot right behind the last racer in the race. And I'll cover this more a little bit later during later turns of his. From there, then it would move in clockwise order to the next player that'll go. So again, we'll move over here and take our turn with our military player here. And so we'll take a look at the cards that he has. So again, a player will play any card that they want to move ahead 1 space. So it does not matter, again, if it matches the location or not. So we'll move ahead. From there, then he would play, if he has a card, to play another card to move ahead, which he does not have a purple farm location. so he will not be able to play any more cards, and so his turn will end. He will draw one card, as he only used one. Now, another thing to keep in mind are the player's special actions. A player can use any number of these during their turn, and only during their turn, unless it's a card that'll cancel a trap or whatnot. And it'll depend on the player, as each player has different types of cards that they'll be able to use. From there, then again, Dick Dastardly will take a turn, and so he's going to move to the forest location now. So he's moving along very fast. And then finally, we'll wrap up with our last team to go. So again, we'll reveal their cards. And again, they will choose one of those cards to play. So let's go ahead and play one of the farmstead cards, or the farm cards, and move ahead. And since both of these locations are full, then he will jump ahead to the next location. Again, he can play a card, so he will play that one as it matches the location that he's on, which is a prairie, and so he'll move to the next location. And again, he would be able to play a card if it matches that location, which it does not. So he will draw 2 cards, and then move Dick Dastardly. And again, now Dick Dastardly is in the lead, so in this situation, he's going to pull over, place a trap card in that location, and then move back behind the last racer in the race. From there, then it would go over, now that all 3 of our players have gone, we would move into the neutral player's turn. And this is skipped during the first round of the phase. So we'll go ahead and I'll go off camera, take another round, and then we'll come back to cover the neutral player's turn. So I went ahead and played another round, and our gruesome twosome moved ahead into the space with the trap card. So they had to resolve that, which caused each one of the racers to exhaust one of their cards of their choice. So at this point, we've gone ahead and played through another round of all of the players, and so we're ready to resolve the first neutral player round. So first off, starting with the first racer of the neutral racers, each of them is going to move forward 1 space on the track. Then we're going to reveal the top card of the movement deck, and any of the racers that are on that location of the neutral racers will move 1 space forward. None of them are on there, so they are not going to move. Then we'll do this again, and then finally a third time, which unfortunately none of our neutral racers were able to move that round any additional times. Now, if a neutral racer moves onto a space that has a trap, then they will flip that over and resolve the effects of that as well, unless the trap does not target them. Now that I've covered the player turn and the neutral player turn, I want to go into some more detail about some of the other features. So first off, with Dick Dastardly, as we already talked about, after each of the player's turns, he is going to activate and move based on the last card in the movement deck, the discard pile. Now he's going to continue doing this, again moving forward on the track, and then he'll drop a trap and move back to behind the last racer. Now there's a couple other circumstances that will affect him. First off, when he passes the gas station, he will not stop. Other than that, any other special location is considered wild to him, so he'll always stop on that location. And then the other factor is that if Dick Dastardly is in a spot and he draws a card, or the last card in the deck is a location that he cannot move to any further, he has run out of gas and will be out of the rest of the race, and simply remove his miniature from the game, and he will not put any more traps down for the rest of the race. The next thing I want to cover are these special locations. Each of these will have triggering conditions that will affect the racers in some way. So for example, with the gas station here, when the last racer moves onto it, it will trigger, and then all the human racers will be able to flip over one of their cards that is exhausted at that point to renew it so that they can use it again. Now the other locations, there will be 4 special locations at random. One of them will be selected, as you guys already saw, and each one of these will have conditions for it. And I'll go over those more a little bit later in the video. The other thing I want to go over are these players' special cards. And like I said, these can be played at any time during the player's turn. So let me show you an example of this. Let's go ahead and say that it's Penelope Pitstop's turn to go again. And so she is going to trigger some of these. So let's go ahead and look at this. We have some cards of hers in front of her. And let's go ahead and say, for example, with this one, that she has this card here. So with this, let's go ahead and use this one here, Clever Girl. This will let her swap places with another racer within 2 tiles. So she can go ahead and trade locations with our non-player character here, or she could have done it with the Gruesome Twosome as well if she wanted to. It's her choice. From there, then she would go ahead and take her turn as usual. So let's go ahead and say, for example, that she plays this card here. That'll let her move ahead, and then she plays that card there, which will let her move ahead again. And then we would flip and resolve this trap here. So that's a failed plan, and again, the players would have to exhaust one of their trap cards. Now, if she had a card that would cancel that effect, she could play that as well, which she does not, so that would end her turn, as any time a player has to resolve a trap, that will end their turn immediately, and they will not be able to play any other cards that they have to move any further along. And then that trap is removed and added to the discard pile. From there, then she would be able to redraw back up to her hand size of 3. The last thing I want to cover are the 4 different specialty tiles. So first off, with the swamp tile, it has a couple of special rules. First off, any racer that moves onto it, it can have any number of racers on it, unlike every other tile that can only have 2. From there, then, in order to move past the swamp tile, the player has to either play 2 identical location cards, or they have to play all 3 other location cards that they have to move to the next tile. Neutral racers will abide by the same rule. They'll have to stop on that location, but then the first time that they have a free move, they will be able to move off of that location. When a player's racer ends their turn on the crossroads tile, they can swap the positions of any 2 tiles on the map, including tiles that have a trap on them. So for example, we could move this tile here and this location back here. From there, the racers themselves will not be moved on those locations, but if a racer is on a location with a trap, then you'll flip that trap over immediately and resolve its effects. And if multiple racers are on there, it'll be the player that'll choose which one of those will trigger that trap. The one exception to this is that they cannot trade locations with any other special location on the board. When a racer moves onto the railroad crossing tile, the racer in the last position will move ahead 1 space on the track. If there are 2 racers that are tied for the last place, the player that moves onto the railroad crossing tile will choose which one of those will move 1 space forward. And the last special tile is the Acme Labs. When the lead racer moves onto that tile, he is going to flip over the next movement card and then place a trap on that next location in front of Acme Labs. Well, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you have any questions or comments, leave those in the comment section below and I'll do my best to answer them. You can also swing by my Facebook and Twitter accounts and let me know what you guys are playing or doing there, or if there's any games you'd like me to cover, or you can also include those in the comments below. I'd love to start a conversation with you guys. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch my videos and leaving me feedback on them. I do really appreciate it, and I love hearing from you guys, both good and bad. Let me know what I'm doing, how I'm doing, and if there's anything I can do better. Always looking to improve my videos and make the best possible videos there are. And if you enjoy these videos, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel, as it really does make a huge difference and helps me to continue to grow and be able to bring these games to you guys. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.